Okay, Tom, so you were covering the Blazers game on Thursday night. They faced the San Antonio Spurs. My third thought so far this season is I don't like the Chris Paul fit in San Antonio. I'm not a fan of it so far. I was looking at the pace stats on unpredictable.com. Last season, the Spurs played at the fifth fastest tempo after made shots, the third quickest tempo after rebounds, the fifth quickest tempo after turnovers. This season, that has dropped to 17th after makes, 19th after rebounds, 27th after turnovers. And who is the reason for that? It is, of course, the point guard, Chris Paul, who notoriously throughout his career, to the benefit of his offenses in his prime, slows things down to his pace. And I don't like the way that has affected Victor Wembanyama, where 45% of his shots are now coming from three, up from 33% last year. Only 28% of his shots are coming at the rim, down from 33% last year, down from nearly 40% over the second half of last season. The Chris Paul effect, so far, my early thoughts are I'm not a fan of it. 2 thumbs down. Tom Haberstroh, what do you think?
I think something has to change in San Antonio when it comes to Wemby. That game that I watched on Thursday night confirmed a lot of the things that I was worrying about going into that tilt against the Portland Trailblazers, because the problem is with Wemby, he has the most toxic shot profile in the NBA. This guy is 7'5" and is a walking dunk every time he steps out on the floor. And Chris Paul was supposed to deliver more alley-oops, more lobs to Victor Wembanyama. Whether it's because of the style of play and the pace that you're describing, or if it's just, I don't know, a mentality from Wemby. He's too nice. I'm going to go ahead and say it. He needs to be more of an asshole. He does. Like, he is bailing out the defense routinely when he's playing, when they have the ball. You look at his shot profile, Kev. He's taking more threes than he did last year, like you noted. 6.9 three-pointers per game. His points per shot on a three-pointer is 0.7. His points per shot on a non-rim 2, so everything outside the basket, is 0.7. Okay, he's taking over four of those per game. So between non-rim 2s and 3s, he's taking 11 of those shots at 0.7 points per shot. Then you look at the rim. The dude is shooting 75% at the rim. 75%. He's taking 4.8 shots at the rim this year. So that's an average point per shot of 1.5. And the other shots, which he's taking twice as many of, are at 0.7. That imbalance needs to be corrected. It might have something to do with Chris Paul running the offense and slowing things down. But to me, he's got to be more nasty out there. He's got to go in there. And I know Kendrick Perkins, we laugh like some of the things that he says, but he's right. He needs to stop thinking he's Kevin Durant and think more like he's Giannis. And I think that is part of the problem here, is that Wemby's too nice. Like last night, Thursday night against Jeremy Grant, he got in a fight with that dude. Like he was flopping and they were going at it and there was like technicals thrown out. Jeremy Grant is like getting in a fight with Taylor Swift. Like, he's the most mild-mannered dude in the NBA, and Victor's like flopping and falling onto the ground, and there was like a little scuffle. I don't know what it is, but I kind of thought that Wemby would have more of a chip on his shoulder. It's the reason why I had such high hopes, is that after last season and all the experiments they did in the offense, they get some real players in Harrison Barnes and Chris Paul. He loses in the gold medal game. I thought he would come out with a vengeance. And the way he's playing this season, he's bailing out the defense every time the Spurs get the ball. And that needs to change, Kev.
Getting in a fight with Taylor Swift.
Yeah. Why would you do that? It's Jeremy Grant. Like, I don't know if Jeremy Grant's even had a technical in his life, and you're like picking a fight with that dude and falling onto the ground multiple times. Why?
I mean, it also shows, didn't Jeremy Grant push him on the ground kind of twice?
Come on, man. Like, if you watch, that was not worthy of what happened after that. It was look, man, like there have been times where he gets a pull-up 3 opportunity and to shoot, and the defense is like, go, yes, please take that, because if you attack the rim off the dribble, we can't guard you. And he had like 3 shots at the rim against the Blazers, and they've done a great job this season, I'll add. The Blazers have done a good job of keeping players out of the paint. But again, this is a mindset to me, is just you're settling. You're bailing out the defense every time that you take a pull-up three or not attacking the rim. And they've got to figure out ways, actions to get Wemby at the rim more, because that's criminal. Like 0.7 points per shot for Wemby, and he's doing it 11 times per game. It's something they need to recalibrate.
They do. And I think with Chris Paul, this was apparent opening night of the season. Teams are switching that pick and roll. Victor is unable to post up. He is unable to effectively take advantage of those situations. Chris Paul also, with the slow pace, I don't think he's done the job that he needs to in playing fast and up-tempo and getting Victor some of those transition opportunities that we saw him increasingly get last season. That's where you get those chances. Open floor, playing fast. Slowing it down does not help your cause there. But even in the half court, though, look, I want to see more creativity from Pop. I know he's out right now. Their interim head coach, Mitch Johnson. I just want to see more creativity to get Victor these chances at the rim. And I don't think we're seeing that. Too often they're just throwing him the ball at the elbow. Too often he's sitting in a corner. Too often he's just setting a screen and the defense is switching that. And I don't feel like there's many layers to this offense right now that we've seen in the past great Spurs teams. And I know it's unfair to compare Chris Paul and, Stephon Castle and Jeremy Sohan and Victor to Tim Duncan and Manu and Tony Parker. It's a dramatically different scale of talent level. But it would be nice just to see a bit more layers to this offense. And part of that is because the team doesn't practice much under Pop. They don't watch much film. And I think that is something that needs to change moving forward with Victor. Maybe one of the issues here with Wemby, with him being too nice, to your point, is that he's in a system where Pop is Pop. He's the greatest coach ever, where he's playing with CP3, one of the greatest point guards ever, and he doesn't feel like he's in a position to stomp his feet down and say, hey, give me more touches. Treat me like Jokic. Treat me like Giannis. Let me run the show more often. Set a screen for me and let me create. Have shooters coming around screens with me running DHOs. And I think that's where I want to see Victor more as the centerpiece of the offense rather than watching the Chris Paul show where he's still near the top of the league in touches, still near the top of the league in possession time at his age. It's not what I'd hoped for with this combination at all.
How dare you? How dare you, the point god? How dare you besmirch him?
Wouldn't you rather see Chris Paul in a winning situation anyway? Like, wouldn't you rather see CP get waived or traded and send him to a contender and see if he can go get his elusive ring?
I mean, it's the same problem that Denver has with Russell Westbrook. Is like, who else are they going to lean on? Just the roster is like they need Chris Paul because they just don't have the depth right there at the point guard position. Although Wesley had a great game on Thursday night against the Blazers. So my thing is Wemby. Caleb Martin has twice as many free throws than Wemby. That shouldn't happen. Like, Wemby's the most unguardable guy in the NBA if he wants to be. And right now, it just doesn't seem that he wants to be. Maybe he's, saving his body for later in the season, turned it on last year late. Maybe that's going to happen. But I'm pretty disappointed with the season so far with Wemby. I know he's leading the league in blocks and doing a good job defensively. But the San Antonio has been a little bit of a disappointment this year, to say the least. What
were your thoughts on Stephon Castle watching him last night?
I love Castle. I think he's going to be really good. I think he's a really smart player, a guy that is, I think, a long-term fit next to Wemby. Really good. And they got Devin Vassell coming back. So things are going to be fitting together nicely. And I think Chris Paul with more veterans and spacers, it's going to be better for them. But I think he's legit. And it was cool to see Klingon and Castle go at it Thursday night. It was nice to see. And we've talked about the rookies and how they had a slow start, but I'm a believer in Castle and Klingon.
Yeah, me too. I love both those guys. They were ranked, I think I had first and second and third on my board this year. I had Reed 1, Castle 2, Klingon 3, if I remember correctly. Love both of them. Castle just needs shots to fall. He's shooting 12.5% from 3, 63% from the free throw line. I'm a believer in his shot, though. He has better touch from the line than I think the small sample indicates, but everything else is already there. The connective playmaking, the rebounding, the defense. I like Castle a lot.